Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Glasswing webinar by Entity Data. We will just give each other 2 more minutes for any last minute participation before we start. Okay, hi, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for taking your time to join this webinar. Today, we're going to talk about Glasswing, which is a master data management solution that by Entity Data. Right. So I believe that everyone in this room right now will have similar business issues in terms of automating your or wanted to automate or simplify your master data process, or if you want to improve your data quality and consistency, if you want to provide a strong data governance and compliance, and that is readily integrated with your SAP system, you are in the right forum today. So within the next half an hour to 45 minutes, we will share our solution developed by Entity Data on how we can handle these business requirements that you have. All right, next slide. So my name is Do. I'm the head of sales for Entity Data Business Solution. I'm based in Malaysia. I reckon most of you in this room will be between the APAC and also the Europe region. Welcome, good afternoon and good morning to everyone. Secondly, I want to present my colleague, which is all the way from Denmark. Name is called Lars Keller, and he will be presenting the master data solution and to enable on what we can do to help with your business case. All right. Next slide. So just to give you a context, we are from Entity Data Business Solution. We are a SAP Global and Platinum partner, and we have a global footprint of 31 countries. I myself, we are talking over here from Malaysia, and joined by us is my colleagues from Entity Data Business Solution based in Denmark. So what we are going to do is through this enablement, we are bringing the best of breed through our global reach, the solution all the way coming from Europe itself. And this solution has been around for the last 20 years with close to about 190 customers worldwide. Right. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to introduce this to this part of the region. And if you have any questions or any queries in between the introduction or in between the presentation, please feel free to write your comments or your questions in the chat, and we will address it during the Q&A session. Next, I will hand it over to Lars. Lars will then follow up with the remainder of the webinar session. Over to you, Lars.
Thank you, To. And yeah, like To said, I'll be introducing Glasswing to all of you. But to begin with, I'll show you a little video.
What do you see when you envision your master data? Is everything just shattered digital building blocks, broken and scattered across your entire ERP system?
Or do you see the bigger picture?
Do you see a dynamic environment where master data forms the strands of your company's digital DNA, serving as the basis for almost any business decision and acting as the very foundation of your operations and value creation?
This is where Glasswing comes in, a master data management solution seamlessly integrated with SAP.
Glasswing is built to simplify processes while ensuring operational excellence, governance, full compliance, and automated maintenance, minimizing the need for human intervention and reducing the risk of error in turn. With unparalleled automation and no code, low code capabilities, watch as the quality of your master data ripples throughout your entire organization, improving every process that it touches, like a data-driven butterfly effect.
Transforming your business
Bit by bit.
So with that, I hope I have sparked your interest just a little bit more, and we'll dig into some more details now. First of all, I'll just quickly go over the portfolio of what Glasswing is. And as To mentioned, and as the video quite well illustrated, it's about master data management in your SAP ERP environment. At the core of it, we have master data management for SAP ECC, SAP S/4HANA on-premise, private cloud, and public cloud. And at the core of this are the sort of clear known functionalities of creating, changing, extending, and deleting master data. But master data is many more things than just that. So on the left-hand side, you see our master data analysis capabilities. We have a product that we call Data Intelligence, which is a tool that allows us to analyze SAP master data for materials, customers, and vendors and business partners. And this allows us to actually predict the patterns and get very detailed information about how your master data is performing and what the quality of your master data is. We can analyze basically any SAP system with this tool. On the right-hand side, you see our monitoring capabilities. Monitoring meaning how does Glasswing as a tool perform on a customer system? We monitor things like how well is automation performing. So do we automate 80 or 60 or 99% of the master data that we are creating? And we also monitor the workflows that we are working with in Glasswing. So do we have bottlenecks in our processes of maintaining master data? How do we identify that and use that as a lever to improve on our processes? I'll come into these sort of topics in just a little bit. But one of the things we want to start out with is to say, we all have master data, whether we are in SAP ECC or S/4HANA, public cloud, private cloud, whatever we're working with. But often we as master data experts, whether we're talking myself or you as master data people in your respective companies, we want to make master data a strategic enabler. We want to make it important to the C-suite because we feel this is important. And as the video kind of told us, it is actually a driver for growth. It's a driver for value accelerating in our business. So we need to make ourselves relevant for the C-suite and for the company entirely. And how do we do that? We do that by making it very clear how master data influences the transactional processes of an SAP system. Put in another way, how does master data influence an order to cash process or a procure to pay process? Often what we speak about is talking to people that doesn't understand that importance. So some of the questions that they would ask is, why should we even maintain this data? Why is it important for my business that I maintain? Let's take a simple example. Why is it important that the payment terms on a customer is always correct? And the question we need to answer, so if we take an order to cash process, a process which is very much CFO related, CFO sort of activities related, and we can tell them that in order to have a proper cash flow, how we can rely on that cash flow, we need to have the right payment terms. So what's in it for them? Well, if we don't maintain the payment terms in the right way, we cannot rely on our cash flow. And the third thing I would want to say is that we need to show them how this actually works in the system. We shouldn't just tell them. So that's the second step we have to sort of go by in order to make master data a strategic enabler. The third thing is we should say, well, somebody has to own this data. We all know about process owners, global process owners, but not all companies have owners of, first of all, a particular master data core object like materials, customers, vendors, business partners, but furthermore, ownership of the actual fields of a material, of a customer, of a vendor. But we need to make sure that in the business, we have ownership. Who drives how we use a field, how we use a master data, and who drives the actual maintenance of maintaining these things, and furthermore, elaborating on how it should be done. So naturally, it would make sense if it is somehow the CFO organ or the sales organ that drives how we maintain the payment terms. Do we have a company policy that says payment terms is 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days? And if the rule is 30 days, then it should not be allowed to do 60 days because then, again, we can't rely on our cash flow. The fourth thing here is being able to measure the value that master data creates over time. One thing is that we have smooth running processes. Again, back to payment terms and cash flow. We want to make sure that we have the right cash at hand so we can use that cash for something else as we have sold our products. But if we suddenly have deviations in how we use the master data in our processes, then they won't run smooth and they won't run effectively. This means that we will have, instead of one streamlined process of doing order to cash, we will have multiple deviations in that process. That takes time, it makes it less smooth, and it makes it less effective. The master data in that sense also allows you to take the right decisions at the right time. Because if you know that our master data is always created at the right time, I am able, as a manager in XYZ department of the company, to trust the data and therefore make data-driven decisions. Hence creating value over time, because as long as we don't waste time on redundant master data processes or redundant transactional processes in SAP, we can actually spend our effort on selling more, on having better reports for CFO purposes and things like that. So like I hinted to, we want to make decisions driven from data. We don't just want to be informed. So what is the difference? Going from being data informed is essentially saying, well, I can see in my system that the payment terms is 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. It could also be that it is from our procurement processes, and I know when things are being delivered. I know they are being delivered at the right time, at the right pace, at the right cost. I can see that, but I want to be driven in the sense of saying, I want to drive decision making based off of the data so that tomorrow our process will even run better. If I can trust that we create the minimum value that we have defined the company should from master data, and thereby also transactional data, I should also be able to take decisions that drives more value going forward, that drives growth. If we do not link these things together, if we do not present the value, then we will not be able to make any business cases on how to make master data a strategic enabler. And therefore, no one wants to pay for those kind of things. These areas here are some of the areas that we help companies identify what are the right process to work with, what are the right values, decision makers, and so forth, that you need to work with in order to present to the C-suite of why is master data a strategic enabler and how can we make it even more important in my company. How do we do that in practical terms when it comes to master data? With Glasswing, we have what we call our 3 winning principles: simplification, automation, and governance. Simplification is how we define the content of creating master data. So if you think about SAP, there's a lot of different screens, there's a lot of different fields, and with Glasswing, we are able to take away everything from sort of a visual noise point of view that we do not want to see. So we only present the user with what they're supposed to work with. And we can even simplify further with only allowing them to choose certain values and things like that. Simplifying ways of working, simplifying decision making as we work with master data. When it comes to automation, what we mean by this is in companies, when it comes to master data, we always have some kind of business rules. We can take the payment terms example as well, but it could also be that we have certain requirements to how we plan, produce, and source the products that we work with. All of these business rules of how we work with these master data, we define as business rules for automation Glasswing. And as the video said, it's a no-code, low-code solution, which means you can achieve automation rates of up towards 99% without doing one single line of coding in SAP, just by setting parameters and conditions for how you want your master data to automatically work. And finally, we have governance. Governance is about controlling your processes and your data. One thing is to have clear responsibilities, back to the ownerships of data and fields that I mentioned earlier. So we actually assign what we call these ownership down to the actual field that we want the different groups of people, let's call it department, but it could be departments within departments that they should control. And furthermore, we also control it on a process point of view. So who does what in what sequence, and am I allowed to create master data for the entire group, or am I only allowed to create master data in Malaysia or in Thailand or in Denmark where I am, or in Australia, for instance? These things we can separate from an authorization perspective as well. And finally, of course, governance is also about compliance. So making sure that nobody touches what they're not supposed to touch is, of course, a clear goal when it comes to governance. Glasswing can handle governance setups in many different ways. On the left-hand side, you see a classic but simplified version of saying, how do we organize ourselves from a data governance perspective? We have our namings here. You might have some other namings, but in all, it fits quite. At the top, we have some architects. These architects, they are the ones that sort of designs how we are working with data. Who are the owners? What are the owners' responsibilities? Who are the stewards and what are their responsibilities, and so on. We typically see 3 different ways of doing this: a central data governance organization, a decentral data governance organization, and a hybrid data governance organization. A hybrid being a mixture of the two former. What Glasswing does is that it takes your organization, or data governance organization, sorry, and it operationalizes this, because Glasswing, from a master data management point of view, enables all three models. You could have data owners in the middle, together with the architects that sets up the simplification rules that we just talked about, the business rules that we talked about, and the governance principles that we just talked about. And through workflows, we assign tasks to the individual departments that you see in the bottom with the end users, and they simply operate based on how the governance, the maintenance processes has been defined by the data governance organization. Then before I move into more details, I'll show you a few customer examples of companies working with Glasswing. Like To mentioned, we have more than 190 customers worldwide. This is a very large customer. The headquarters is in Denmark, but they operate on a global scale. They do various things with master data, and the two guys that we have been working with for the last, they've been a customer for more than 10 years almost. They present here in a video what they've been doing and the value that they have been creating. And I need to put video on.
And once you have, with Glasswing, relevant master data creation has been automated. And once you have seen what automation can do, there's no going back. I'm Bruno Bønker, lead consultant in data quality at Danfoss.
I am Ashok Kumar Mohan, manager, SAP PLM.
Danfoss is a global leader in energy efficient solutions with more than 39,000 employees globally and operations in more than 100 countries. As part of unifying our 15 divisions on one single ERP platform, we decided to also take bold action to rethink master data management. We needed a scalable and automated solution to ensure data quality and streamline processes. NTT Data's Glasswing was a clear winner in our proof of concept. Not only did NTT Data deliver a proven product, they also acted as a strategic innovation partner in developing the features we needed. Their commitment made all the difference.
Today, Glasswing has become Danfoss's central application for creating and maintaining material master data, and it handles over 3 million annual requests and supports 18,000 users worldwide. Thanks to the rule set and automation in Glasswing, we can now work faster and improve data quality. For example, with our automatic material creation, we have cut the time from customer order to production from 2 to 3 days to just 3 to 4 hours.
And because we can configure the rule engine ourselves, we are confident that the solution can evolve with our needs going forward.
So I'll just re-emphasize a few comments that they made. First of all, Ashok mentioned this customer order to production process. So back to my transactional processes and how we present value to our customers, the KPI that they had was that the original process was 3 to 4 days as they receive an order to when they are actually producing it. And now it's down to 3-4 hours. The next case we have is for Siegwerk. It's another company operating out of France, and they do something similar. So let's have a look and listen to what Vincent has to say.
Here at Siegwerk, when it comes to master data maintenance, what is important for us is 1, completeness, 2nd, correctness, and 3rd, speed, because we create or extend so many materials every day. I am Vincent Sadoun. I am the head of Product Lifecycle Management and Master Data Management at Siegwerk. Ziegwerk is a global manufacturer for printing inks and coatings for the packaging and the label industry. We every day sell, produce and ship huge amounts of products. In order to run our processes, we need accurate master data. We used to have a self-programmed solution, but it was complex and outdated. We needed a solution that enables more automation, integration, and seamless end-to-end master data processes. Entity Data Glasswing was the perfect match to meet our requirements. They have the right experts to support us on the complete journey, from the conception until the deployment of the solution. Glasswing natively covers plenty of master data objects, like materials or purchasing info records. But we needed more. The experts supported us to implement and integrate those additional objects to the seamless process and to other SAP modules. The Glasswing solution is used by more than 400 users all over the world. When we create a new product, we just need to fill in a limited number of information, and the software moves and creates all the master data in the background into the SAP system. Plus, the tool is easy to configure. You don't need to be a developer. We also gained some agility in line with our business strategy.
So these are two great examples of how Glasswing is utilized in different types of companies, but all having the same requirements. Master data has to be correct. Master data has to be fast and reliable. One of the ways that we can present reliable master data with you is, as I mentioned earlier on the product portfolio slide, that we can analyze your data. We analyze data on a global and a local level. A global level meaning you have data that is the same across your entire organization, and you have data that differs on each organizational unit, like plant, sales org, purchase data, company codes, and so forth. And it is in the local data that you can achieve the highest amounts of automation. Just before I get into how we analyze data, Glasswing supports a variety of different master data objects, the core ones that you have in your SAP landscape: products, business partners in S4, customers and vendors on ECC, with the various roles that are available for business partners. We have financial objects. Some of those financial objects are entirely global data, like VBS elements, internal orders, project definitions, and so on. And then you have other financial objects that also contains local data. And finally, what SAP calls enterprise asset management, functional locations, maintenance items, and equipments, and actually also the service master. And as Vincent just said in the video, we also have a concept which we call additional objects, which is mentioned here in the bottom. And that concept allows us to either automate or manually drive workflows for other master data objects in SAP than those you see here mentioned on the slide. Our analysis tool, very quickly, I know we are getting to the end, it analyzes your data, it gives us data quality reports, it derives the business rules that may reside in your data already, meaning we can predict it, we can derive it, we can statistically show the evidence of how you are maintaining master data today, and we can use that either to implement Glasswing or we can use it to cleanse your data. Either way, your SAP environment will get a better state of master data, and we can use that with our 80% sort of goal from the analysis, that 80% of your master data process is defined by running this analysis. So we accelerate the implementation of Glasswing. Why should we analyze our data? Why should we care about our data quality? Well, KPMG and the Aberdeen Group, they say that one master data error costs between 5 and 100 euros. So naturally, if you have a few errors, this suddenly runs up to quite a lot of money. And that, of course, is something that we want to avoid, to lose money because we have bad master data. Finally, just a quick aside, another reference from the APAC region, Malaysia, Weir Minerals. We've been working with Weir for a number of years, and Weir is doing more or less the same from a process point of view that Sigwerk is doing. We are automating as much as possible, not only the material, but also the derived master data objects that is required in SAP in order to finalize the entire process of creating a material. As you can see, they have more than 150 Glasswing users. It's a big company, and they only fill out very few fields in order to maintain the entire master data object. Get clean, stay clean. A lot of us are moving into S/4HANA now, and one of the drivers of value in S/4HANA is data quality. So what we propose, and this is a call to action for you today, is take a look at your data quality, analyze it. Do you need to do cleansing because you have a lot of errors, because you have a lot of duplicates before you go into S/4HANA? And after you go into S/4HANA, how do you actually keep that data clean? Do you have principles of automating, of governing and simplifying the process so that you will ever be increasing the value of your S/4HANA system? This is what we propose to you as one of the most important takeaways in this environment today. How do we get the value out of S/4HANA? And we believe that you get very far by addressing your master data today. So before I answer questions, the urgency today is master data is super vital for your business performance. Your data quality ensures a high transactional performance. Data governance and compliance bulletproofs your business. And overall, it accelerates growth because it frees up time to worry about the things that growth rather than fixing things in a reactive approach. And this is your way to better margins through master data. And I see a question in the chat, which I find quite good. And I will move into questions now. So if you have any, please post them in the chat. Kenneth is asking, this talk is focused on master data, but can I check if transactional data is covered too? Glasswing does not cover transactional data. It is purely a master data management tool. But if you're talking about checking, so meaning analyzing data, in entity data, we have other tools that can analyze your transactional processes and give you the insights you need to, let's say, reveal the process deviations and your process flows in general when it comes to a transactional data point of view. I hope this answers your question, Kenneth. Great. So another question we are often asked is, how hard is it to actually find these business rules? It seems like a very cumbersome task. And this is what we address with our analysis tool. Like I said, we have a goal that 80% of how you maintain master data through Glasswing is found by doing this analysis. And by doing the analysis, we can, as I said, accelerate this implementation. So really, the big task in master data has always been defining your business rules, defining your processes, and so on. And we take away the burden of that job with the tools that we have available. Another question. So the question is, if Glasswing works on other ERP systems than SAP, and no, it does not. Glasswing is entirely created for SAP ERP only. From a technical perspective, it is installed directly in your SAP ERP environment, and it sits there as an add-on to your SAP system. It replaces the traditional transactions or Fiori applications from a sort of process perspective. So you won't use, when you get Glasswing, you won't use the traditional ways of creating a material, for instance. You will now be using Glasswing entirely. So we are actually already 6 minutes over schedule. I hope you found this interesting. I hope you found it enlightening. And as I said, one of the call to actions here today is consider your data quality today. Is this the reason that we have process deviations when it comes to our business critical transactions? And how do we address that? If you have questions about how to address that, please feel free to reach out to us. We can help you. We can analyze your data today and get insight to that. We can also analyze your transactional data if that is something that you require. But for Glasswing perspective, we talk about master data. And I'll leave you with this sentence. Don't fix the past, solve the future. You should get to a state where you don't have to worry about cleaning data, but simply solving business needs for the future. If you want to learn more, you can scan this QR code and book a meeting with us. Otherwise, I'll say thank you for spending a little bit more than 30 minutes with us, and I hope to see you out there. Thanks a lot, and have a nice day, evening, wherever you are.